Alright, so today we're going to start our wheel bearing hub assembly replacement. I'm on the driver's side right now, and we're going to get started by removing the caliper. So to remove your caliper, you got your slide bolts here. This is what you're going to need to loosen. This is a 12mm socket. Since these were replaced recently, they're not giving me any grief. We're going to pull from the top. There we go. I know I'm in the way there, but you take your caliper and tuck it up out of the way so it doesn't fall. So from here, you're going to want to take the rotor off. If these are kind of stuck on by corrosion, just put your penetrating fluid around here. Set that aside. Try to keep your hands off the braking surface. Now there are 3 bolts that are going to be on the back of the wheel bearing assembly. One right here, you got one here, and one on this side. And it may be easier. It's easier to get to them if you're able to move the wheel assembly. Now you can, if you want to, you can just drop your tie rod, and that'll allow you to move back and forth with no issues. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and move the steering wheel as needed. But the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to take off the axle nut. So to do that, you've got a cotter pin that goes over a, it's a cotter pin, we're going to call it a cap, and it's a little tin cap. It's really just there to help hold the cotter pin in. Straighten your cotter pin out. Again, there's not really, this Jeep was not subject to the rust issues that a lot of Jeeps are, so I haven't had to deal with a lot of heavy rust. But if you do, penetrating oil, sometimes they'll just break. But come on. There we go. We'll replace that cotter pin. This is your cap. Again, that just holds the cotter pin in place. It's got the little ridges like a castle nut. And underneath it, you're going to find this spring washer. You see it's curved. And when you press down on this applies pressure against the cap, which then puts pressure against the cotter pin. So we're going to set that aside. They're not in bad shape. We'll reuse those. Here's where we might have a little bit of issue. Again, it's not heavy rust, but I say it's worth taking a wire brush to it just to kind of clean it up a little bit. got the camera kind of zoomed in, you can see this is, rust is not an issue really here, so. This is a 36mm bolt, sorry, nut. This is the only time I've ever needed a 36mm socket. So I got this at Lowe's, and it is it's only $10, which isn't bad. Get a breaker bar out. I don't know if my impact gun is going to be strong enough to pop this loose, so we'll see. Give me a moment. I was able to get the axle nut off using an impact gun. I did end up having to put a little bit of PB Blaster on it. But once I did that, it came off just fine. So I'm going to grab a rag real quick because of the PB Blaster. Not much, just a little bit here. Take that off. I know I didn't have it on camera when I broke it loose, but just a reminder, if you're using air compressor tools, it's always a good idea, especially if you're in an enclosed space. Like we kind of are. I've got the garage doors open and everything, but still, you want to make sure you're wearing hearing protection and eye protection. So, under the axle nut, we have a washer, and I'm going to use pick tool this out magnet wise. You can use a magnet. There we go. That should be enough. Get that in there. Alright, put this away. Next thing we're going to do is loosen the bolts that hold the hub assembly to the knuckle. And to do that, you're going to need a 13mm 12-point socket, specifically a 12-point socket because that's the way the heads are shaped. And I'm going to clean the heads off a little bit. Make it easier. Now, I'm using a 3/8 inch wrench and socket right now. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure if that's going to give me enough, if I'm going to have enough leverage or torque to do that with this, but we're going to try it. I do have a 12mm 12-point, sorry, yeah. No, this is 13mm 12-point half-inch socket, but it's a deeper socket and makes it a little bit harder to get to. This one at the top is the one that's got the hardest clearance to get through. So the ones down at the bottom aren't that bad. But we're going to give this a shot. It's not budging. I'll put some PB Blaster on these. Make sure I get as much of this dirt off of here so that the PB can get in there. Give this one a shot, see if we can get the top one to budge. This one might be a little easier just because I can get a little bit better position. I might be able to, but I'm going to hold off. Let the PB Blaster do its thing, and we'll go from there. when you need. Try to keep the mess to a minimum. Alright, we'll let that set and do its thing. Alright, so PV blasters is given time to sit. And I got on there and I checked and they've started to break loose, so we're going to go ahead and pull these out. So you notice I left the first one in there. I didn't take it all the way out. I'm going to loosen a little bit more. But I'm leaving that one in because to get this wheel hub assembly off, we're probably going to have to whack it with a hammer. And that helps keep it from falling off and hurting yourself, dropping on toes or whatnot. So we actually still have the dust shield on, so we're going to try to, we'll take care of that so it doesn't get messed up. If you got it, I mean, still use it, you know. A lot of times they're so rusted out that the only thing you might find is where it's actually sandwiched between the hub assembly and the knuckle. Alright. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to grab the hammer. We're going to give this a whack. And because I got bad hearing, I'm going to go ahead and put hearing protection on. Now that that is loose, we'll finish the last bolt, take it out. And that should just slide right off the end of the axle. Okay, just like that. See, there's our dust shield. And I'll try to clean that up a little bit. There's our old bearing assembly. Set this off to the side. So I want to make sure that the replacement part matches what I got here. And while I'm here, I'm going to take this pick. Actually, I'll just use a screwdriver. Try to clean out some of this mud and dirt that collects back of the knuckle here. I do have ABS on this Jeep, so got dirt in little gear teeth here that the ABS leaves. Making sure that's out. Alright, so I got our dust plate cleaned off, and really the main thing you're looking to do here is clean off the mating surfaces. So around here and around here. As far as alignment goes, you've got, I've noticed on this dust cover, there's 6 holes, but this right here, this little hole, this access hole, that needs to be lined up right over the tie rod end here on the knuckle, okay? So you've got an oblong or an oval-shaped hole, regular hole here, and that's how those are going to line up. So you can see when you do that, especially from here, because this one's regular shaped, this would be the first one I'd put in. And then there's a little notch here, which allows for room for the tie rod end. And then you've got this access here. That's kind of your marker. You can do that. Alright. That's how that's going to go. This is our replacement part. I bought it in a pair. It's part number K513158. And if I got this, if I'm remembering this correctly, I got this from Quadratech. I'll double check. I bought a pair. Can't remember if this is Quadratech or Amazon. Anyway, both part numbers are the same, so it should be identical for the other side. Alright, and the big thing here is to make sure you got, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of pre-stage one of these bolts to let the dust cover hang on. Okay. And since that's the regular shaped hole, non-oval, on the dust cover, that's the one I'm going to use to keep us started here. Alright. I didn't put that on correctly, dadgummit. Being silly. There we go. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to slide that through there just to kind of hold that in place. So I can get this started, because the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to line up the splines on the axle with the wheel bearing assembly. Alright. There we go. And once those start to slide on, you're good. Alright, so go ahead and rotate the back part of the assembly here to line up with holes. And I'm going to, this bolt I'm using to hold the dust cover on, I'm just going to kind of back it out slowly while I get this put in place. There we go. Alright, and from there, we just adjust until I can get that bolt to pop through or start. Okay, so that one's started. Now I can get the others started. Gunk on there. Get that tap, see if I can get that to break loose. I know that seems silly, I'm just trying to get this stuff to break apart a little bit. Yeah, that came off okay. There we go. Put that out. Slide that one back in, get it started. And then we're just going to cinch these down, bottom them out. And then these bolts are going to be torqued down to 75 foot-pounds. So. thing we want to replace is our our washer that goes behind the axle nut. Okay. And we take our axle nut, get that on. Alright, so let me get those. I'm going to get these bolts torqued down. Again, 75 foot-pounds for these three. And then I'm going to take this down with the impact gun as far as I can. We'll get the rotor back on. And then I may end up having to put the wheel back on and putting it down on the ground so that I can actually get the torque that I need to torque this axle nut down, because this is 175 foot-pounds, and that's no joke. And I won't be able to do that with it up and free spinning with this open diff, so that's probably how we'll do that. And then we'll put the spring washer in, the cotter pin cover, and the cotter pin in, and we'll be good to go on this bearing. Alright, so give me just a moment. Alright, so we got those torqued down. 75 foot-pounds. And now we're going to put the rotor back on, the brake caliper, and then I'm going to put the wheel on so that we can drop it and torque down this axle nut to 175 pounds. Remember, you want to try to keep your hands off the braking surface, to keep any kind of oils or anything. And if you have a glimpse of my hand right now, you'll see what I'm talking about. Try to keep that off your brakes. When you look at your brake pads, you got one that's got a groove, and then you just got a little peg up here. The groove is the bottom, so you want that to go on top of this slide right here. Alright, so once you get it started on the rotor, get those slots lined up, and then pull the bugger in. Your slide, but make sure your slide sleeves are pushed out. Alright, and now we put those caliper mounting bolts, slide bolts, put those back in. Tighten those down. And the torque spec on those is actually a range. It's 7 to 15 foot-pounds to allow for wear and tear. So we're going to try to put them around 12. We're roughly in the middle. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put the wheel back on and get that torque down, and then I'm going to lower this side of the Jeep so we've got the wheel on the ground so that I can put the torque on that axle nut. So we got the wheel on, and the lug nuts have been torqued down to 100 foot-pounds, and we're getting ready to try to torque down that axle nut. So again, 175 foot-pounds. There's only a tiny bit of movement before that pops, so of course anytime you take out a cotter pin, you want to replace it with a new one, and that's what we're going to do. I think it's always a good idea to just get a package of cotter pins, various, universal size thing, and just have them around in case you need to do something kind of on the fly. And then you can go from there. So we have our spring washer. Again, it's curved like that. So you're going to want to do that with the hump facing up, because that's what's going to make contact with the inside of this cotter pin cover here. And it's going to put pressure against it and hold it against this cotter pin to keep it from falling out. So we're going to put that in like that. And keep an eye on where your cotter pin hole is. I like to put the low end right in front of that so that I'll have less issue getting the cotter pin in. And then when you're lining up when you're putting the cotter pin cover on, of course it's not going to cooperate with me today. It's like a castle nut. Go ahead and line up the space so that when you push that in, there we go. And these grooves actually have a purpose. There's a groove. They're going around the nut, the axle nut. So you can line it up there, find the one that's got the hole visible, and you want to get that cotter pin started. I'm hurting myself, I can tell already. Outside the cap. There we go, just like that. You want to seat that as far in as you can, all the way. Use the dikes to rotate it. Or a pick tool, you can do that too. Once you get that in there though, lined up so it's going in all the way, give it a nice tap. And then come up and across. And you can snip this part so it doesn't get caught on your glove or anything you're working on. So, alright. Now that's held in, and there you go. So that's changing a wheel bearing hub assembly. And it's the first time I've done this. And it's definitely something you can do on your own. I was a little hesitant about it, and I'll be honest with you, it's because I got to keep getting up and down off this floor, and my body just doesn't like doing that anymore. Hey, Kuma Bear. You coming over to say hi? Hey, Cather Bear. These are the youngest fur bear babies. Well, pretty much, as far as the pups go. We do have a younger cat, I think. So, yeah, we do have a younger cat. But, alright, so that completes our wheel bearing assembly replacement. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the passenger side, and then we'll get this thing on the road and see if that took care of the problem. I appreciate you guys hanging out through the video. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe. It helps us with the channel. And if you want updates when we put new videos out, go ahead and click that notification bell. And be sure to share our channel with your friends, family, whatnot. Really appreciate that. And we look forward to knocking out the rest of this stuff. So until then, take care of yourself and take care of others. We'll see you later. Bye.